No one at Ashcroft Veterans Medical Center wanted to fight for the paralyzed operator in room 214. The doctors called him a lost cause. The administrators called him a budget problem. The staff called him unstable because his eyes still knew how to accuse people. Only one quiet nurse in faded green scrubs believed his silence was not surrender. And when he whispered one broken word that no civilian in the ward understood, she leaned close and answered a call sign from a mission that had officially never happened. Before we begin, welcome to the channel. If this story pulls you in, hit the like button, subscribe, and comment where you are listening from. I love seeing how far these stories travel. Stop wasting resources on a dead career. Dr. Igor Resnick said it softly at the foot of bed 214. That made it worse. The man in the bed heard him. Everyone knew he heard him. Major Dmitry Volkov lay beneath a thin hospital blanket, still from the neck down, eyes fixed on the ceiling tiles. 8 months earlier, he had been a Spetsnaz field commander with a record nobody in the hospital was cleared to read. Now, he needed help turning his head, needed help swallowing, needed help being moved so his skin would not break down. To Resnick, that meant finished. To the board, that meant expensive. To most of the staff, that meant dangerous in a quiet way. To Anna Sokolova, it meant something was wrong. She stood beside the medication cart in faded green scrubs that looked too loose on her lean frame. Her dark hair was twisted into a tired knot. Her pale eyes stayed lowered, because quiet nurses survive longer in wards ruled by proud doctors. But Anna was not looking at the floor. She was watching Dmitry Volkov's right eyelid. It moved. One blink. Pause. 2 blinks. Pause. A pattern. Dr. Resnick turned to the residents behind him. Document no meaningful motor recovery, he said. Prepare family counseling for long-term placement. A young resident shifted his weight. Sir, Nurse Sokolova noted vital sign drops during repositioning. Resnick looked at him, then at Anna. Nurse Sokolova notices many things. A few people smiled. Not loudly, just enough. Anna kept her face still. Somewhere underneath it, something old began to stir. Rotor wash. Frozen mud. A man's voice screaming through static. Hold the line. Keep him breathing. Do not let him disappear. She swallowed it down. Volkov's eyes moved to her. Not pleading. Commanding. Do something. Resnick leaned over the bed. Major Volkov, denial is common after catastrophic injury. We will help you adjust. Volkov's lips moved. No sound came. Anna saw it. The others did not. She moved closer. Do not engage him. Resnick snapped. Volkov's eyes locked on hers. His lips moved again. Anna bent lower. A rasp came out, one broken syllable. Anna froze. Not Gar. Harpoon. The call sign belonged to one man, from an operation that did not exist on any hospital record, any civilian file, any public map. Harpoon had been the voice on the radio the night the extraction went wrong. The night Anna dropped through smoke into a valley nobody was supposed to know about. To pull 3 men out of collapsed position before the second wave hit. Volkov should not have known her face, but his eyes knew her. Resnick folded his arms. What did he say? Anna did not answer. There is no call sign in this file, Resnick said. How do you know it? Anna looked at Volkov. His eyes did not leave hers. Because you were there. Because I found you. Because I pulled you out. She turned back to Resnick. He needs repeat imaging. Now. The imaging request went nowhere. Dr. Resnick crossed his arms at the foot of the bed, and the small crowd of residents pulled in tighter around him, the way people always gathered around men who spoke in absolutes. This patient has complete paralysis below C5, he said. No functional recovery. No surgical pathway. What he has is a decorated service record, an award full of sentimental people, confusing sacrifice with prognosis. Volkov blinked once. Hard. Anna stepped closer. His vitals spike every time his head is repositioned. Resnick's smile came slowly. Are you suggesting the patient is diagnosing himself through your imagination? No, sir. Then what are you suggesting? That his injury may not be as complete as the file says. The room went still. A respiratory tech stared at the monitor. Everyone in Resnick's unit knew the rule. Do not contradict him. Do not make him look small in front of trainees. Anna knew the rule, too. She had survived worse rules than this one. Resnick stepped toward her. You've been here 14 months. In that time, you have questioned 2 medication plans, 3 transfers, and now my prognosis. His voice dropped, almost gentle, which made it worse. This is what happens when nurses spend too much time on veteran wards. They start believing patriotism is a credential. Nobody laughed this time. Volkov's eyes moved to Anna. Do something. She forced herself to stay still. She was a nurse here. Only a nurse. No rank, no call sign, no aircraft overhead, no harness cutting into her shoulders as she dropped through smoke to reach men nobody else could reach. Only Anna Sokolova, 34, quiet, useful, invisible. Resnick leaned over the bed again. Major, this is a rehabilitation unit, not a battlefield tent. Instinct does not outrank imaging. Volkov's lips moved. A rasp. Anna bent low before Resnick could stop her. Harpoon. The name detonated quietly inside her chest. 6 years buried, and here it was, spoken by a man who had no business remembering her face, let alone her call sign. What did you call him? Resnick's eyes sharpened. His call sign. There is no call sign in this file. No. Then how do you know it? Anna looked at Volkov. His eyes did not leave hers. Because you were there. Because I found you. He needs repeat imaging, she said instead. Now. Absolutely not. Resnick's voice cooled into something harder. You will not manipulate this unit with military theater. The monitor screamed before anyone could answer. Heart rate 44. Blood pressure 82/50. Anna's eyes went to pillow. It had shifted during the exam, tilting Volkov's chin up, extending his neck a few degrees too far. His pressure is dropping, she said. Resnick barely glanced over. Vagal response. His neck is extended. She reached for the pillow. Resnick caught her wrist. Not hard, just enough. The room went cold. Anna looked at his hand, then at his face. Every buried part of her went silent and precise. Distance, grip angle, exit line. No, this is a hospital. She eased her wrist free. Move your hand, doctor. Heart rate 39. Oxygen 90. A young resident stepped forward. Maybe we should reposition him. Stay where you are, Resnick snapped. Anna moved anyway. She pulled the pillow down, cradled Volkov's neck with both hands, brought his spine back to neutral alignment, no extension. Her voice had changed, not louder, deeper, the register of someone who had given orders inside burning aircraft and expected them followed. Page rapid response. Respiratory, get the airway cart. Someone call neurosurgery and say possible cervical cord compression with autonomic collapse. Nobody moved. Now! They moved. The rapid response team arrived in a wave of rolling equipment. A critical care nurse named Olga took one look at the monitor. What happened? Acute bradycardia and hypotension after neck extension, Anna said. Possible high cervical compression. Prep atropine. Resnick, cut in. This is an overreaction to chronic spinal injury. Anna ignored him. He responds to neutral positioning. Cognition intact. Blink pattern confirmed. She looked at Olga. Ask him. Olga leaned toward the bed. Major. Blink once if you understand me. 1 blink. Blink once if your neck hurts. 1 blink. The room went quiet in a different way now. Olga looked at Resnick, then at Anna. With respect, doctor, he's symptomatic. Give it, Anna said. Olga gave it. The heart rate began to climb. 34, 38, 45. Volkov's eyes stayed on Anna the entire time, as though her face was the only thing keeping him tethered to the room. A neurosurgery fellow arrived 7 minutes later, irritated and out of breath. What is emergency? Resnick stepped forward first. A miscommunication. Anna cut through him. High cervical injury patient with autonomic collapse triggered by neck extension. New blink-confirmed pain response. Prior imaging may have missed dynamic compression. He needs an MRI, strict neutral precautions. The fellow looked at her properly for the first time. Who are you? Resnick answered before she could. A nurse who was about to be suspended. The fellow turned to the bed instead. Major, blink once for yes, twice for no. Do you understand me? One blink. Neck pain. One blink. Worse extension? One blink. The fellow turned back to Resnick, and something in his expression had already shifted. Why wasn't neurosurgery called before now? Resnick's voice cooled further. There was no indication. Anna held out her notes without a word. 7 days of blood pressure drops. 7 days of bradycardia tied to positioning. 7 days of blink-and-firm pain. 7 days ignored. The fellow's jaw tightened. Get him to imaging. Resnick went pale. As they wheeled Volkov toward the elevator, Anna walked beside the gurney. Veterans watched from open doorways, some in wheelchairs, some leaning on canes, all of them silent in a particular way people are silent when they recognize a fight they've already lost themselves. The elevator doors began to close. Volkov's lips moved. No sound came, but Anna knew the word before she saw it form. Ghost, her old call sign, the one she had buried 6 years ago, along with everything else she used to be. The doors shut, and for the first time in 6 years, Anna Sokolova felt the past climbing out of its grave. The MRI suite was cold blue and too clean for memories. Anna stood beside Volkov's stretcher with one hand near his shoulder, her eyes fixed on the curve of his neck. The neurosurgery fellow, Dr. Elena Marchenko, studied the monitor while the tech prepared the scanner. Resnick waited near the wall. Quiet now. Quiet men planned. Volkov's blood pressure had improved, but not enough. His pulse hovered in the low 50s. Every small shift in posture made the numbers tremble. Anna leaned close. I need you still. Harpoon. One blink, yes. Marchenko glanced over. Harpoon. Call sign from where? Somewhere cold. Anna said, not looking away from the monitor. Volkov's eyes softened. Marchenko understood enough not to push further. The tech reached for a thick head cushion. Anna caught his wrist. Not that one. It extends him. It's standard, he said. Use the flat pad. Marchenko said, watching the numbers. The tech obeyed. The scan began, the machine thumping like a steel heart. Anna watched through the glass as slices of Volkov's cervical spine appeared on the screen. Old trauma, cord swelling, scar tissue, then something else. A small, dark pressure point at C4, C5. She saw it before anyone spoke. Marchenko leaned forward. Paused there. The image sharpened. Her face changed. Anna's stomach dropped. There. Artifact. Resnick said from the wall. Too quickly. Marchenko clicked to another view. The shadow remained. Not artifact. This doesn't explain complete paralysis, Resnick said. Harder now. No, Anna said. But it may explain why he isn't recovering. Marchenko looked at her. If the original blast stunned the cord, and this kept pressing on it afterward, preserved pathways could be buried, not gone. Anna looked through the glass at Volkov. Trapped inside the machine, eyes closed because he had to keep them closed. She remembered another trapped man. A collapsed tunnel above frozen ground. Gunfire striking stone. A voice cutting through static. This is position compromised. Wall coming down. Move. She had moved. She had crawled through a gap barely wide enough for her pack, dragging a rescue line behind her while the ceiling groaned. Volkov had kept the radio alive with a shattered collarbone and a bleeding hand. He had called her Ghost because she came out of the dark like something that shouldn't exist. She had saved him once. Then the war took her somewhere else. Then Yuri Brajin died. Then Anna stopped answering the call signs at all. Marchenko called the attending neurosurgeon. Dr. Sergei Orlov arrived 20 minutes later, silver-haired, compact, tired in the way good surgeons are tired. He reviewed the images in silence, then stopped on the same frame. Who called this? Nurse Sokolova identified the pattern. Marchenko said. Orlov looked at Anna. You got all this from vitals and blinking? Yes. Military. Former field medical. His eyes narrowed slightly. Which unit? Anna said nothing. Orlov nodded, as if the silence answered enough. Thought so. Resnick cut in. Dr. Orlov, we cannot base a surgical decision on military mystique. Orloff kept his eyes on the screen. I'm basing it on compression. The lesion is small. The cord is angry. He's 8 months out and may have been mishandled for a week. He looked at Resnick. That's not mystique. That's negligence with signature. The word landed hard. Resnick's jaw tightened. Orloff turned to the stretcher. Major Volkov, surgery is risky. No miracle promised. But if this is compression, removing it may give you a chance. Volkov blinked once before Orloff finished the sentence. He can't consent by blinking, Resnick said. Anna leaned over Volkov. Major, blink once for yes, twice for no. Is your name Dmitry Volkov? One blink. Are you at Ashcroft? One blink. Is Dr. Resnick making you angry? A pause. Then one slow blink. Someone behind them coughed to hide a laugh. Resnick flushed. Anna continued. Do you understand surgery could make you worse? One blink. Do you understand doing nothing could leave you exactly as you are? One blink. Do you want Dr. Orloff to evaluate you for decompression? One blink. Orloff nodded. That's consent enough for ethics and legal. The next hour became paperwork and war. Legal wanted forms. Ethics wanted documentation. Administration wanted risk analysis. Resnick wanted control. Anna wanted time. And Volkov had less of it than any of them understood. She stayed with him while the hospital argued over his body in conference rooms down the hall. His pressure dipped twice. Each time, Anna corrected his neck and talked him through it. Breathe with the machine. Don't go back to the tunnel. Just remember the part where you stayed conscious, because I told you to. His eyes shone, almost a smile, not movement enough for anyone else to notice. Anna noticed. Resnick appeared alone in the doorway. That was never good. Miss Sokolova. Doctor, I spoke with administration. You're suspended pending review. Volkov's eyes flared. Anna kept her hand near his shoulder. Effective when, immediately, I'm monitoring an unstable patient. Another nurse can sit with him. He trusts me. He doesn't need trust. He needs care. Anna turned. That sentence is exactly how he got this far, without anyone hearing him. Resnick stepped closer. You're not a hero. You're a nurse with boundary issues and unresolved trauma. His eyes flicked over her, cataloging weaknesses. I checked your file. Gaps in employment. Incomplete service history. You're hiding something. Everyone here is hiding something. Not like you. Volkov blinked hard, twice, straining against his own stillness. Anna pressed 2 fingers lightly against the sheet beside his hand. Easy. Resnick watched the gesture, something ugly moving behind his eyes. How do you know him? From before. Before what? Before he was your inconvenience. Dr. Orloff returned with Marchenko and an ethics officer trailing behind. Orloff looked between them. Problem? Miss Sokolova has been suspended, Resnick said. Unsuspend her, Orloff said flatly. You can't do that. I need her for communication. He responds to her best. She's compromised. She's useful. The word hit Resnick harder than any accusation would have. Not dramatic. Not special. Useful. He had no clean argument against it. The ethics officer leaned toward the bed. Major, do you want Nurse Sokolova present during consent? One blink. She stays, the officer said. They took Volkov to surgery at 6:40 that evening. The rehabilitation wing had changed by then. Word had spread through the ward the way it always does. Veterans lined the hallway in wheelchairs, on canes, silent. An old man raised 2 fingers in a weak salute as the gurney passed. Volkov couldn't return it. His eyes filled instead. Anna walked beside him toward the surgical elevators. Resnick caught up near the doors. You're not going with him. Yes, I am. You've been removed. Remove me after he's stable. The elevator opened. Anna rolled the stretcher inside. As the doors began to close, Volkov's lips moved. No sound came, but she knew the word. Her old call sign, the one she had buried with the dead 6 years ago. The door shut. 3 floors. No one spoke. Their corridor did not care about hospital politics. It cared about speed. Anna scrubbed in anyway. ignoring the desk nurse who half rose from her chair. Miss, you can't. Call security later. Inside, Dr. Orloff worked over the cervical field while Marchenko suctioned and the anesthesiologist stood rigid at the head of the table. Blood had pooled faster than it should have. Not catastrophic yet. Close. Orloff looked up. You shouldn't be here. Then use me quickly. He hesitated 1 second. Pressure's dropping. Venous bleeding, anatomy distorted. Exposure's poor. Anna scanned the monitors. Blood pressure 72/38, heart rate 118. A different problem now. Blood loss. She scanned the room the way she used to scan a collapsed position. Suction, sponges, fluids, temperature, medications. Building order out of chaos was the only trade she'd ever really learned. Warm him, she said. The circulating nurse blinked. Orloff didn't look up. Do it. Calcium ready? Drawing. Anesthesia answered. Tranexamic acid? Orloff glanced at her. If bleeding continues, 1 gram over 10 minutes. If no contraindication. Do it. The door burst open. Resnick stood outside the sterile boundary with 2 security guards. Remove her. Nobody moved. Orloff didn't look up from the field. If anyone touches her before I finish this decompression, I will name them in the operative note. The guards froze. Resnick's voice cracked with fury. She's directing care. She's giving useful observations, Orloff said. Try it sometime. Blood pressure climbed, 78, then 84. Responding, anesthesia said. Orloff reached deeper. A dark collection sat against the cord where it had no right to be. Pressure in the wrong place. A life pause by millimeters. Anna heard Volkov's whisper again in her mind. Nobody at Ashcroft knew she had been a combat search and rescue medic. Her file said field medical technician. Not a lie, just a locked door. People filled locked doors with whatever made them comfortable. Night nurse transfer, quiet, maybe broken, maybe nobody. Nobody gets collapsed tunnels, frozen rivers. Tactical medicine in places where hospitals were rumors. Nobody guessed Yuri Brajin's death had made her walk away from the uniform and into a civilian ward, where she could save people one at a time and pretend that was smaller. There, Orloff said, the collection released, not dramatically, just dark blood under suction. The pressure came off. Everyone felt it. Blood pressure 96/58. Heart rate 94. Marchenko whispered, cord is pulsing. Anna closed her eyes for half a second. Not a miracle. Never a miracle. A chance. Orloff finished an hour later. Decompression complete. We won't know function until he wakes. Anna stripped off her gown in the corridor. Resnick was waiting, flanked by an administrator, clutching a folder to her chest. Anna Sokolova, come with us. Where is he going? ICU, Orloff said behind her. I'll give handoff. Resnick laughed, thin and humorless. You'll give nothing. You interfered for the last time. The corridor had filled with witnesses, nurses, residents, transport staff. Resnick wanted public punishment. He had done it to nurses for years. He had chosen the wrong one this time. Dr. Resnick, Anna said, calm. You missed a compressive lesion. You ignored 7 days of documented autonomic instability. You tried to remove the only person the patient could communicate with. You are not stable enough to be discussing my conduct. That sounds like a threat, the administrator said. No, Anna said. It's a warning to stop lying in front of witnesses. A new voice cut through the corridor. What is happening here? A man in a dark coat stood near the entrance, a visitor badge on his lapel, early 50s. Gray hair cropped close. Beside him stood a uniformed officer and a woman with a legal folder. The officer's eyes landed on Anna. Are you Nurse Sokolova? Yes. Captain Ilya Rostov, Special Operations Liaison. This is Major Volkov's medical power of attorney. We were notified of an emergency surgery. Resnick recovered first. Captain, I am Dr. Resnick. There's been a disruption caused by this nurse. Rostov ignored him. He set a call sign before anesthesia. The corridor changed. Resnick seized on it. You see? Military role-play, delusion. Doctor, Rostov said quietly. I would stop talking. He turned to Anna. You are? Anna's mouth went dry. She had imagined being found. Never like this. In worn scrubs outside an or while a cruel doctor tried to erase her. Not anymore, she said. Rostov's eyes softened, just slightly. Senior Sergeant Anna Sokolova. Combat search and rescue medic. Attached Joint Special Operations. 3 extractions under fire. Order of Courage, twice wounded. He paused. Call sign. The administrator's folder lowered. Resnick went pale. Volkov was moved to the ICU at 9:18 that night. Anna rode beside him, checking every line, every strap, every inch of his neck position. At 11:06, he began to wake. Anna said softly, his eyes open, clouded, and focused. You're in the ICU. Surgery is over. Pressure is off the cord. No promises, but you made it. 1 blink. Neck pain. 2 blinks. No. Can you feel anything different? A long pause. Anna touched his left foot. 2 blinks. His shin. No. His knee. No. His thigh. No. His shoulder. 1 blink. Anna swallowed hard. Document it, she told the nurse at the door. Volkov's lips moved. A broken whisper came out. I'm here, she said. He tried again, forcing the word through a throat that had almost forgotten speech. Found me? Yes, she whispered. I found you. At midnight, Resnick returned to the ICU doors. How is the patient? Better than you expected. I want to review his chart. No. Before he could argue, a hospital operations director stepped in beside Rostov. Tonight, Dr. Resnick, you're relieved from Major Volkov's case pending review. Resnick stared. This is my unit. Not tonight. Inside the room, a soft alarm sounded. Through the glass, Volkov's eyes were open and fixed on Resnick. His jaw worked. Anna stepped inside. What? He forced the words out. Not dead. A breath. Not yours. The room stopped. No one defended Resnick after that. He walked away under the eyes of every person he had ever made feel small. When the ward finally quieted, Rostov approached with a phone in his hand. Command is sending Colonel Viktor Sherov, he said. Anna's stomach dropped. Sherov had been her final commanding officer, the man who signed her discharge papers, the man who found her outside the morgue after Yuri Brajin died, and told her, you can leave the uniform, Sokolova. Don't confuse leaving with healing. Rostov, watch your face. He asked for you by name. Anna looked through the glass of Volkov, a lie because one buried call sign had dragged her past into the light. The first battle was over. The harder one had just begun. Colonel Viktor Sherov arrived at Ashcroft Veterans Medical Center at 0640 the next morning. He did not arrive with sirens. He came to the front entrance in a plain dark coat, carrying one leather folder, wearing the tired face of a man who had spent his life delivering bad news without blinking. Anna saw him before he saw her. She stood behind the nurse's station with Volkov's chart open, pretending to read lab values she already knew by heart. Sheriff still moved like command, not loud, not hurried. People simply got out of his way before they understood why. He stopped in front of her. For 3 seconds, neither spoke. Sokolova. Her old name hit the ward like a dropped instrument. Half the staff turned. Colonel, she said, keeping her voice level. His eyes moved over her scrubs, her badge, the cheap pen clipped to her pocket. You look different. So do you. Not enough. According to my physical therapist. A nervous laugh escaped one of the interns. Sheriff didn't look away from her. You saved him. I bought time. That's usually what saving is. Resnick, trailing 3 steps behind with a security escort, stepped forward. With respect, Colonel, Nurse Sokolova acted outside the normal chain of command. Sheriff turned his head slowly. With respect, Doctor. If the normal chain of command had worked, I wouldn't be standing here. Resnick's mouth closed. Sheriff opened the leather folder and set a photograph on the counter. It showed Volkov, 7 years younger, standing on a frozen airstrip beside a battered transport helicopter, blood marking his sleeve, his grin wild. Beside him stood Anna in cold weather gear, helmet under one arm, medical pack on her back, eyes narrowed against the wind. A young sergeant stood between them, smiling so wide it hurt to look at. Yuri Brajin. Anna's throat tightened before she could stop it. "What is this?" Resnick asked. "Operation Night Glass," Sheriff said. "Classified until this morning. Parts have been cleared for medical relevance." "Why?" Anna asked. "Because Major Volkov's current condition is tied to that operation." Sheriff lowered his voice. He was exposed to a compound during extraction. Rare neurotoxic residue, low dose, delayed onset. Command suspected it caused intermittent vascular inflammation. He was being evaluated quietly before his spinal collapse. Resnick frowned. That was never in his records. "No," Sheriff said. "It was in mine." Anna looked toward Volkov's room. "You knew he was at risk." "We knew there was a risk. We didn't know it would present like this. Someone should have told the hospital. Someone should have." Sheriff's answer carried weight. Not excuse. Admission. The compound was used again 3 weeks ago. Off a northern border operation. 2 operators exposed. 1 recovered fully. 1 developed transient paralysis that reversed after decompression and targeted treatment. Anna's pulse climbed. He's not isolated. No. Resnick folded his arms, recovering some of his old certainty. Even if this is true, it doesn't change the fact that Volkov has a compressive lesion. He needs neurosurgery, not battlefield mythology. "He needs both," Anna said. A soft alarm sounded from Volkov's room. Anna moved before anyone else did. Inside, Volkov's right index finger twitched against a sheet. Anna slid a whiteboard beneath his hand. "Can you tap?" "Tap. Yes." "Pain in your back worsening?" "Tap. Yes." "Burning in your legs?" "Tap. Yes." She pressed a finger beneath his left foot. Nothing. Beneath his right. His jaw tightened. "Tap." Anna looked at Sheriff, who had followed her in. Sacral sparing. Incomplete injury. Resnick, in the doorway, said, "That's a generous interpretation." "No," Anna said without turning. "It's the first thing you should have checked before deciding his life was over." The monitor sharpened its rhythm. Anna's eyes went to the numbers. Heart rate climbing. Pressure dropping. Sweat at Volkov's hairline. Neurogenic shock worsening. She said, "Get fluids. Keep his pressure above 85. A nurse hesitated. Resnick snapped, "Don't take orders from her." Sheriff stepped into the doorway. "Take the orders." The nurse moved. Later that afternoon, while Volkov stabilized, a security officer found what would end Resnick's career for good. Missing vials from the medication log. 4 of them, all logged to sedative with no matching order. Footage showed Resnick entering Volkov's room at 2:17 a.m., alone, with no chart entry afterward. Rostov brought the printout to Anna himself. Pharmacy is auditing every controlled substance he's touched in the last month. Why would he sedate a patient who is already paralyzed? Rostov's face was grim. Because a patient who can't move his hands and can't speak clearly can't refuse consent either. Anna went cold. Consent to what? By 1,000 that morning, they had their answer, a signed enrollment form, dated 3 days into Volkov's admission, for an experimental spinal implant trial. Sponsor, Vermilion Neurosystems, a defense technology contractor with a name Anna knew from another life. Battlefield monitoring systems, adaptive prosthetics, some useful, some dangerous, all expensive. Resnick had needed a patient with confirmed permanent paralysis and a decorated service record, a body that would never be allowed to get better, because a body that recovered wasn't worth funding. Volkov had not been a patient to him. He had been a headline. Anna folded the forged document carefully, her hand steady in a way that frightened her a little. "Then we make sure he's able to testify." Sheriff studied her. "There's more." "There's always more." Resnick's office was emptied an hour ago. Files missing. His car is gone. His phone is off. Anna looked through the glass at Volkov, alive, watching the door as if he already knew what was coming. "Then we find him," she said, "before he finds someone else to blame." The call came at 3:20 that afternoon. A security officer stepped into the ICU corridor, breathless. "Colonel, we found Dr. Resnick." Sheriff turned. "Where?" "Parking structure, level 3. He's with Major Volkov's wife." Anna's blood stopped. Inside the room, Volkov's monitor spiked. He had heard every word. "Stay calm," Rostov told him, moving toward the door. Anna was already gone. They ran. Security spread out ahead of them across the garage floor, cutting between concrete pillars slick with rain blown in from the open sides. Level 3 was half empty. A dark sedan idled near the exit ramp. Resnick stood beside it, coat open, hair disordered, one hand gripping the arm of a woman in her early 40s. Katya Volkova. Anna recognized her from the photo clipped inside Volkov's chart. A small syringe hovered near the woman's neck. Not pressed. Close enough. Security fanned out. "Dr. Resnick," Rostov called. "Let her go." Resnick's laugh cracked, thin, nothing like the controlled voice from a ward. "You have no idea what you ruined." Anna stepped forward. Sheriff hissed, "Don't." She kept moving anyway. Resnick saw her, his eyes lit with something close to hatred. This is your fault." "No," Anna said, stopping 15 feet away. "This is your choice." Katya trembled. "Please." "Katya, look at me," Anna said, gentler now. "Dmitri is alive. Surgery worked. He has a chance." Katya's face broke. Resnick yanked her back. "Don't listen to her. She's a traumatized field medic playing hero." "You forged consent," Anna said. "You sedated a paralyzed man, so he couldn't refuse a trial that would keep him broken on purpose." Resnick's grip tightened. They promised results. They were going to change spinal medicine. "They," Anna repeated. "Vermilion." Fear flickered across his face. Not fear of the officers around him. Fear of someone else. "You don't understand what people like that can do," he said. Sheriff stepped into view. "I do." His voice was stone. "And right now, they're letting you take the fall alone." Resnick's breathing changed. Anna saw the angle of his wrist, the syringe dipping toward Katya's neck, the sedan door cracking open behind them. A man sat in the driver's seat, not hospital security. Black jacket, gloved hands, watching. Anna's mind snapped into an old rhythm. Assess, analyze, act. "Resnick," she said louder. "Who's in the car?" The driver moved. Sheriff saw a half-second too late. The sedan lurched backward. Resnick panicked. The syringe dipping toward Katya's throat. Anna closed the distance in 3 steps. Not like a nurse, not like a woman afraid of being judged, but like someone who had crawled through collapsed ground under fire because a man was still breathing on the other side of it. She slammed Resnick's wrist away, hooked his elbow, turned her hip, and drove him into the concrete without touching his head. The syringe skittered across the floor. Katya fell into Sheriff's arms. The sedan sped for the ramp. Security shouted. One officer fired at a tire. The car fishtailed, struck a pillar, and stopped smoking. The driver tried to run and was tackled against a parked truck by Rostov. Resnick gasped beneath Anna's hold. "My wrist. You broke my wrist. You tried to steal a man's body while he was still trapped inside it," Anna said. "You think your wrist matters?" "Anna," Cheryl's voice steady. She breathed once, released the pressure, and let security take him. Katya stood shaking against the wall. Anna went to her. "Are you hurt?" Katya shook her head. "He said Dmitri was being transferred. Said he needed my signature. I thought..." Her voice broke. "You did nothing wrong," Anna said. "Can I take you to him?" Katya nodded. And for first time since the surgery, Anna let herself feel something other than dread. That evening, Volkov was awake enough for the breathing tube to come out. Katya sat beside him, holding his right hand. Anna stood near the foot of the bed with Orlov, Rostov, and Sheriff. The tube came free. Volkov coughed hard. Katya cried. His voice came out shredded. "Katya, I'm here." His eyes closed, one tear sliding into his hair. Then he looked past her to Anna. "You sound terrible," Anna said. His cracked lips tried to smile. "You look worse." Katya laughed through her tears. Sheriff looked away, something working in his jaw. Volkov's eyes found Anna's again, and this time they held something heavier. "Yuri." Her chest split open. "I know," she said. "He told me. Had to tell you." "You did." "Not your fault." Her throat tightened. "I'm trying to believe that." His right fingers curled. Then, barely, his left hand moved. A twitch, small as a breath. Everyone in the room saw it. Katia covered her mouth. Orlov moved to the bedside. Do that again. Volkov's face tightened with effort. His left index finger moved, once deliberate. That's new, Orlov said quietly. Volkov looked toward the empty space where Resnick used to stand, as if he could still see every person who had once decided what his body would never do again. Then he looked back at Anna. Not dead. Anna took his hand. No, she said. Not even close. 3 weeks later, Dmitry Volkov stood for 10 seconds between parallel bars. His knees shook. Katia covered her mouth. Anna waited at the end of the bars in worn green scrubs, arms loose at her sides, ready to catch him and pretending she wasn't. I stood, he whispered. You stood, Anna said. Resnick's arrest had broken everything open. Investigators found forged consent forms, falsified sedation logs, and wire transfers from Vermilion Neurosystems tracing back 18 months. Volkov was the first patient able to speak the truth of it. Through a whiteboard, through blinks, through a call sign that had refused to let him disappear. Resnick lost his license within the month. Vermilion lost its government contracts within the season. Ashcroft rewrote its protocol across the entire regional network. Every veteran diagnosed with catastrophic paralysis would now receive a mandatory second neurological review before any prognosis became final. The nurses started calling it the Harpoon Review. Sheriff handed Anna a sealed note from Yuri Brajin's personnel file before he left. One line, written a week before the mission that killed him. Don't carry me like a stone. Save who you can. Stop pretending you were made of it too. That counts. Anna read it twice in the locker room and cried in a way she hadn't let herself cry in 6 years. Not controlled, not efficient, just human. Ashcroft opened its Veteran Neurological Rapid Response Program 2 months later, with Anna as its clinical lead. She wore the same faded scrubs on the first day, because she'd earned a right to keep them. No patient should need a hidden past to be believed, she told the room on her first morning. Major Volkov shouldn't have needed a call sign to be heard. That's what this program is for. A year later, Volkov crossed a rehabilitation courtyard on one cane, slower than he used to move, but moving on his own. At the far end, he stopped and pulled something from his jacket, a faded rescue patch, edges worn soft. Yuri said I should give this back. He said, once you stop running. Anna took it without a word and pinned it inside her locker, beside Yuri's note and a whiteboard with 2 words written across the top in her own handwriting. Not finished. Anna never promised anyone they would walk again. She promised they would not be abandoned in silence. Volkov never called himself healed. Anna never called herself a hero. But every morning, in a war that had once mistaken silence for surrender, they taught the people around them a better word. Not finished.